What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Calgary Barbell. We're here wrapping up another week of training. So this is the new style of vlogs for anybody who missed last week. We're doing these a little bit differently. We have some more raw footage, even though it's equipped, so think on that. And we're just gonna kind of sit down, talk through the training, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna break things up a little bit. We're gonna put question of the day in a separate video, which I will magically point to at the end of this video. And we will take one of the questions from this video next week and the previous video this week, if that makes sense, and we'll answer those in a separate video where I just sit down and talk about the topic at hand. So, to get down to the training, last week went pretty well. Especially getting into equipment, I find the first week back after a deload or washout, everything feels really heavy. Everything in the equipment feels really heavy because it's obviously super maximal and beyond what you're going to be lifting raw. Now, you don't usually deload in equipment, so that creates a bit of a deficit between the two. So squats this week went pretty well. Like I was saying, the bar felt really heavy on my back. Walkouts were heavy, more than anything. The weight moved really well. I was able to get to depth of 325, which is a little bit less than my planned opener. So I ended up taking singles at 315, 320, and 325. Those all moved really well. And 325 I actually got to depth with, like I said. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my suit taken in a little bit, tiny bit in the hips, about 2 centimeters each in the straps, and hopefully that helps me get a little bit more groove out of the suit and a little bit more pop out of the bottom. It makes it a little bit harder to get to depth because I don't wanna be able, if you can get to depth with too little weight, then your window kind of shifts down from weight that you can get to depth to weight that you can't lift, right? So in order to shift that back up so that I can't get to depth with lighter weights, need more weight, but I'll get more carryover out of it, if any of this is making sense, getting the suit altered. Anyways, so I got into my tight bench shirt this week, the 46. It's marked as a regular katana, but it definitely has a super katana neck. So not really sure what happened there, but it's basically a super katana. So very tight chest plate. It takes a lot of weight for me to get down to a touch, and I was actually able to get up to 245 kilos this week, which matches my all-time PR, but it's probably not the most productive training. I really had to load it up to get down there, and it was about an RPE 17 or 18 to be able to lock that thing out. Deadlifts went really well. I worked up to a single at 345, a single at 350, and a single at 355. And those all went really well, moved really well, and I was super happy with my positioning on the 355, which is something that I've been kind of putting a lot more effort and weight into. And by weight, I mean sort of intention and focus, and trying to do a better job of maintaining and creating position, especially in the suit, because it gives me that feedback of needing to pull into the suit, and it also really wants to round you out. So holding position is key and rather difficult in the suits, so that's something I've been focusing a lot on. After that, I did some pin press that went pretty well. I think I worked up to about 157, had trouble finding my groove on that day, but got in some good quality work. Like I said, the shoulders were pretty beat up from the benching on Monday. The shirted bench kind of made my shoulders a little sore, a little painful, a little inflamed maybe for the whole sort of rest of the week. So I took it a little bit easy on the bench there. My day 3, I came in and did comp squats and comp squats, raw squats, raw comp squats. Felt really, really good. I worked up to 222.5 for a set of 5. They moved really well, they were smooth, my depth was consistent, my bottom position was nice and tight, and I just really feel like I kind of have been able to find my stride there. And I also think that sort of an overarching theme of this block is that less is more right now. I had a big conversation with Mike about all the equipped volume that I was doing. Not to say that it wasn't working, but it was leaving me quite beat up. And I found that even during my washout, I was able to do a lot of really productive lifting because of the added recovery, because of not being in pain, because of things not hurting. And I've noticed that my hip definitely reacts to more volume and more intensity. So obviously the more work I do, the more pissed off it gets. The more I ride that line of just enough and recovery, the better it feels. So this past week, I didn't really have any hip pain at all, and everything felt really consistent, and I was able to move well as a result of that. After I did my comp squats, I did some raw bench, and that was kind of sad. I was hoping to get up into like 150 or so. I had 3 or 4 triples there, and I only got to 142 and a half, and that was all I had that day for good quality reps. So I think, again, a little bit of a longer refractory period. That SRA curve, I was pretty dipped on that because of the intensity of the equipped bench earlier in the week. So didn't feel great, but we got the work in, and it altogether went pretty well. My day 4, I did some deadlift against chains and worked up to 320 kilos plus what I just measured was 43 kilos in chains, so almost exactly 800 at the top. And that felt heavy. It felt like 800 at the top. Well, I was pretty happy with that. Again, no pain, no issues in moving. So really, really happy with how that went, how it felt, and how I was able to hold position against that much chain being added as I went up. And then I came down and did some sets of 4, I think maybe around 275, 280 kilos. And that was pretty much the week. So all in all, things went really well. Things felt heavy, but first week back after a deload usually does. And I would say I'm excited for next week, but I just started next week and it's going really well. So we'll see you guys next week to talk about this week. Anyways, thanks for checking us out. If you have any questions about my training, what I'm doing, why, go ahead and leave it in the comments below. Leave a like if you liked it, and we'll see you soon. So for those of you guys interested in question of the day, like I said, it's going to be in a separate video. It's going to be up there, and it comes from Ignacio Faro. He was curious about my thoughts on back training. He says it's become popular to recommend twice as much pulling as pushing in your routine, and Matt Wenning is a big example as an advocate of that. What are my opinions? How would I deal with all the extra volume, and how do I usually program back training? So if you guys are interested in my answer to that question, go ahead up on over there and click on that, and we'll have a separate video talking about that topic.